Montalvo Broadcasting Network. Support MBN, Montalvo Broadcasting Network, and shop with us over at Montalvo Store. Go to ebay.com and search in the advanced search. Type in Montalvo Store. Now support Montalvo Broadcasting Network. We have a wide array of books on conspiracy, apparel, and much more. Support your favorite radio station, Montalvo Broadcasting Network, by visiting Montalvo Store on ebay.com.
Tribal, primitive, rustic, Burning Man, punk rock, conceptual subculture, for the edgiest, most cutting-edge designs of jewelry today. Go to etsy.com/shop/conceptual subculture, or one word, either by going to Google or search Etsy, ETSY.com, and type in one word, conceptual subculture. You will find the hottest designs using natural stones with wire wrap rings, rough, raw, genuine, semi-precious gemstone jewelry, solid sterling silver, copper, leather, organite, bracelets, pendants, chokers, men's copper cups with sterling accents, eco-friendly, repurposed, original, one-of-a-kind design earrings. Support MBN by going to Conceptual Subculture on Etsy. Go to Antique Obsessions for the hottest in jewelry, antiques, repurposed, solid sterling silver, one-of-a-kind, handmade by Bruce and Jaja. Go to our Facebook, which is Antique Obsessions, or you can go to Etsy.com and go to Antique Obsessions, one word, or type it into your Google and find us there. Thanks.
If you're looking for the coolest apparel, jewelry, bracelets, earrings, the stylish and hippest clothing around, go to Poshmark.com. Poshmark.com at Anti-Culture. At Anti-Culture. The coolest, hippest apparel on the internet. Poshmark.com at Anti-Culture. Bruce Montalvo.
Continues to spread conspiracy theories.
Penchant for promoting bogus conspiracies as though they were fact.
About his conspiracy theory.
This is CNN, a network of China Broadcasting System.
All hands, Bruce Montalvo. Bruce Montalvo is the only radio talk show host that's not controlled. You're listening to the Bruce Montalvo Show.
Hello and welcome to a very special episode of the Bruce Montalvo Show. I have my co-host Jaja with me today. Jaja, hello.
Hey, buddy.
So today joining us is certified nutrition specialist in the lymphatic system. She's an expert, certified personal trainer, teacher, speaker, founder, and developer of Extract, and an award-winning author also. She joins us today. Nina Venturella is on the line with us. Hello, Nina. How are you?
I'm fabulous. How are you today?
We're good. We're excited to have you on. Thank you so much for being on the show. So, your book, Unveiled Truth, what the doctors don't want you to know, what the doctors don't know will hurt you, right? I didn't butcher that too bad. Tell us about that. Tell us a little bit about your book.
Oh, okay, sure. So that book was actually originated because I had a illness for 2 years that doctors told me there was nothing wrong with me. It was in my head, overworked or stressed out. But I had symptoms that manifested so greatly to where I was bedridden for 6 months.
Was that the candida?
And yes, it was the candida. But for years, they misdiagnosed me. They said there was nothing wrong, or they said that, it's just anxiety, or you're just really stressed out, or you need to sleep. And so they're trying to give me Prozac and everything like that for 2 years. And that wasn't acceptable to me because my symptoms were so severe. I mean, like I said, when you're bedridden in your 20s, that's just not acceptable. Any age, especially when you're that young.
Right.
And especially when you're that young, you think you're, invincible, nothing can ever happen to you. And then all of a sudden, you go to bed healthy, you wake up sick. And that's exactly what happened to me. To the point where it felt like all my organs were shutting down at once.
Ooh.
I had such heavy brain fog that I couldn't put my head up off the pillow. I had chronic fatigue where I could barely stay awake. I had no immune system to speak of. I started breaking out in hives and rashes.
Oh, man.
I had aches and pains throughout all my joints at once without doing anything at rest. And I knew something wasn't right. At first, I thought it was the flu because, you figure, okay, that makes sense. The flu can get you down like that, and you get aches and pains and things like that. But then after 3 weeks, it got progressively worse. And the flu doesn't get worse. It obviously gets better over time.
Right.
So that's when I started my journey to find out what the heck was wrong with me. And so I went through every type of doctor, specialist, internist, you name it. I had every kind of lab work done, scans. They couldn't find anything wrong with me. That's why they declared at that time it was in my head.
I hate them sometimes.
Exactly. And so that was the answer for 2 years until I finally went outside of the medical and I went to a naturopath. Now, this is 20-some years ago, so they were very few and far between at that time. I lived in Illinois, and so I had to go an hour away from my home to go visit this woman. And honestly, because I had gotten so beaten down with people telling me it was in my head, I actually started thinking that. Even though my symptoms were so real, I was thinking maybe there's something mentally wrong with me.
Right, I see that in your.
I
see that in your book. So, you have a part in your book that says the power of suggestion. The words they were trying to get subliminally try to get you down already.
Yeah, and that's what was going on. So I had all this negative self-talk, and I almost didn't even go to the appointment because I spoke to this lady on the phone. I told her my symptoms, and she's like, well, come on in. I think I know what's going on. I'm thinking, oh, yeah, whatever. Sure, you do. And so I couldn't even drive a car, so my mom had to drive me, and I was walking up to the door, and I'll never forget this. I'm like, this is a waste of my time. I'm just saying to myself, this is a waste of my time. She's not going to know what's going on. And I went to turn around and go back, and as I did that, she opened up the door.
Wow.
And so she opened the door. She goes, and then I'm like, at that point, I had to go through it, right? She goes, are you Nina? I'm like, yeah. She goes, okay. She goes, we're talking as I'm walking into her facility. And I'm going to tell you, it was so weird. It was like a voodoo shop. I mean, it had all these weird things in jars and everything like that. I'm like, okay, let's fix that. Oh,
a little skull
doctor,
somewhere.
Witch doctor.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So she's talking to me, and I'm thinking, this girl's nuts, right? But she said some things that made a lot of sense to me. And so she said, the first thing she said, which was very encouraging, is, I know what you have. Now, that's the first time that anybody ever said that they acknowledged that I was actually sick at that time. And so that made me feel a little bit better. And I said, what is it? And she goes, well, from what you're showing me and what I'm seeing. And she looked at my fingernails and my tongue and my eyes, and she did all this stuff, right? She said, I believe you have something called candida. And the first thing you ask is that fatal? Can I die from it? She goes, well, we believe it's a precursor to most disease out there. And because of that, it can become, a fatal. It could be fatal if you don't get this taken care of, because it can go into other issues that are fatal. And she said, but you have one of the most severe cases I've ever seen. And she said, you have something called systemic candida, which means your body is not fighting it. It's becoming part of your immune system. So everything's shutting down because it feels like it's doing the right thing, even though it's not. And what she told me was candida is an overgrowth of bad bacteria, and it's a yeast infection basically. And I said, well, I never had a yeast infection. She goes, well, this isn't vaginal. Yours is in your gut, and that's where your immune system is. And she said, so what you've done is you've overtaken all the good bacteria. And then she asked me a couple questions. Were you a sick kid? And I said, no, I was very healthy. Now I'm a nutritionist, personal trainer. the idea of me getting sick never even crossed my mind because I did everything right I knew how to do, eat right, exercise right, do all the right things that we knew at that time. And she said, well, did you take antibiotics ever? And I said, no. The only thing I ever took, and I told her this, was tetracycline. And I took tetracycline on and off for 10 years when I started going through puberty because I would get breakouts.
Right.
Not even severe breakouts, but I was vain.
I
was vain.
It was like pizza face.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
He had that
Exactly.
also. Pizza day.
Yeah. So I ended up, taking tetracycline on and off. That was my cure-all for acne. And unfortunately, though, that tetracycline was what did most damage to my body because it was releasing yeast.
Wow.
And it attacks your immune system. And when your immune system gets, tampered with, nothing else can function, right? If you have no immune system, you have nothing. So that's kind of what was happening. We have something called good flora, which is in our colon, which helps our body, produce good flora. But all that flora was overtaken by bad bacteria.
Wow.
And I didn't realize, she told me the way that this is growing, and I said, well, how did it get so bad? She goes, well, it was being dumped on over years, so it was cumulative by this yeast through the tetracycline. She goes, but you're feeding it. I said, how am I feeding it? She goes, do you crave sugar? I said, oh my gosh, I have to eat sugar every meal.
Right.
And she goes, well, you're actually feeding it with sugar. And she goes, not just, actual refined sugar, but this is actual carbohydrates. She goes, do you crave carbs? I go, I'm Italian. I crave pizza and bread and everything
pasta,
else. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so, unfortunately, I was allergic to a lot of foods as well. That's when I started getting allergies, too, which I never had before. So everything was just kind of hitting at one time.
You think, Nina, that could have been a parasite in your gut? I mean, I know you said it was bacteria, but I mean, almost all diseases start off as a parasite.
Yeah. It works hand in
And
hand.
then it wants sugar also.
They feed off
Absolutely.
each other.
And they crave sugar.
Yeah. Yes, they do. And I will tell you another thing, and this is, I didn't learn this until many years later, but I believe the reason I went through in such a severe manner of symptoms is that I had such emotional issues in my past from 7 years old on into my teens that I think that emotional trauma actually triggered all those physical things that are manifesting. Because I understand now there's actually communication that happens on the root level, which is your emotions, your soul, your mind, will, emotions, and your body manifests that. So there's that communication. So now what I know is that emotion probably kicked in those symptoms, but when my body was, releasing all the yeast, it was a fight and flight moment, and it wasn't able to fight the way it needed to. Right. And the emotional trauma took place. It's been feeding my physical body information, communication, right? And then all of a sudden my body just shut down because I was overworked, stressed out, whatever, not getting enough sleep, whatever that looks like. But that wasn't the answer. The answer was the candida, but that was a symptom of what I believe was the root area, which was the soul, which was your emotions. And that's where that book came from. So it's looking at the trigger, which is the root area, and the body just manifests it. Because what we've been taught throughout the years is we focus on a physical level. Just recently, everyone was talking about the emotions. And I knew this back in 2006. So that's when everything kind of started for me, when I started learning about how the emotions and the physical body relate to each other and how one manifests the other. But the root area is the emotions, the soul, the mind, will, and emotions. And no wonder I was getting sicker, because what was I saying? I was saying negative things to myself, and so I was getting sicker and sicker and sicker. So I was actually producing more illness.
Right, it's like what you said.
Words that we're speaking. Right.
Yeah, you said what you think can very well make you sick. I read here. Yeah.
Yeah, and it starts in the mind. That's how the battlefield is, right? So
That's
now I don't receive it. I change the information that comes from my body, and I change it in my mind, and I change it on an emotional level so that the communication changes, so that my body operates on a healthy, whole level physically.
So just by changing your mindset, you were able to tackle that disease, and you were able to defeat it.
Yes, it happened quite a bit through that. But then also I learned about one missing link through that journey was the lymphatic system. And because I learned that the lymphatic system was where everything was storing, and I knew that yeast pretty much goes dormant. And where it goes dormant is in the lymph system and in the cells. And So I could go ahead and live a normal life if I didn't eat those foods once I cleaned up the yeast, bringing in probiotics, enzymes, and all the right things to rebuild my immune system, which took a few years to do, but then I eventually got to that place.
Right.
But what I've noticed is that once I got it to that place, the only way that I can stay there was if I would not eat those foods. But as soon as I ate the foods that I couldn't eat, those symptoms would start to come up again.
Right, and I got to ask you, because as a nutritionalist, an expert in nutrition, as you are, I'm seeing a trend, a very scary trend, almost you would call luciferic or satanic. A trend, they're trying to advertise the eating of cannibalism. I saw that some scientists say cannibalism now is cricket flour. I mean, the food industry, the food industry is just abhorrent. I mean, they're so evil.
Yeah. And it is satanic, and I believe that. See, God's word says, "My people perish for lack of knowledge," and I believe that the enemy tries to keep us stupid and dummy down. I believe that we are so much more smarter than we realize. And the life that we live doesn't have to be so complicated, but the society says it has to be complicated. I'm telling you, health and wholeness is simple. It is not difficult. And the other understanding is it's not part of, as a Christian, it's not part of what God says we have. By His stripes we're healed. No weapon formed against us shall prosper. So why are people getting sick? Because that's what they've been trained in. And because of all the emotional woundedness and all the generational stuff, the body starts to manifest that. That's why I wrote that book. So I had to come up with an opportunity to give people answers, but not just on a physical level, because everyone does that. But I had to go onto the emotional level and the spiritual level. And back in the Garden of Eden, when there was a fall, when the fall happened, the spirit, soul, and body all separated. But before that, there was unification. So I actually speak over my spirit, soul, and body, and I say that there's unification of my spirit, soul, and body, and that there's a certain frequency that comes out of my words that are healing as well. And if you have negative words, it's negative frequency. If you have positive words, it's positive frequency.
That's right.
And this is all true stuff. So I just think we're so brainwashed, and I think that's the best way to say it. That we think we're trained to think a certain way than what really is truth. And what I believe is truth is unification of the spirit, soul, and body. And so that's why I wrote that book.
Amazing.
To create unity in the spirit, soul, and body. And then by having this hands-on healing gift that God gave me in 2006, there's a lymphatic system, which is your garbage disposal, which are everything stores, taking that piece with it, with everything else that you know, with understanding of getting rid of the emotional wounds and detaching yourself from the old man, the old identity, the old woundedness, and creating a new pattern with new mindsets and new beliefs, and then your body will start to manifest that differently. So you're actually changing communication patterns.
Wow. That must take some type of meditation as well, right? A little bit of prayer.
No, I teach it. I teach people how to disconnect and change the exchange, do an exchange.
Right
over. I do it online. I do it on the table when I'm doing an extract on somebody. I teach that. It's not hard to do at all. And I've seen people who were full of pain, riddled in pain, after doing some emotional coaching with them and changing the communication. The pain goes away within 24 hours. I've seen it.
Right.
Is it anything like the emotional release or the, not the Ralphing, but more like emotional release work where they, I once had that done by a naturopath years ago, for several years. He worked on me from my toes to my cranium. And, it was a lot of release work. It was painful, and he would go through I go through my lymphatic system.
So this is an outside of the box process. It's a deeper type of fluid. We're moving fluid. We're bringing everything up into the bladder so the body can eliminate it. And people see results within a few minutes. They feel it and see it. When you bring in the emotional piece with it, then you're tying in the emotion with the physical. So whatever area you're working on, there's an emotion that's attached to it. There's also an age that's attached to it. So I can tell you, from your ankle to the middle of your calf, ages 0 to 7, there's something going on. If I feel fluid there, I know there's a blockage there. I know that means you're afraid to move forward. So I will go ahead and say, okay, between the ages of 0 and 7, something happened to you where you were afraid to move forward, or there's a fear there. And then I address that, then I detach that, change the communication, change the pattern, and then release it. And then all of a sudden that fluid just releases, and that issue is gone.
Oh my God, that's exactly what William Lasassier did to me. he passed away many years ago, but he did that many, like in the 90s for me for over several years. And he would talk me through things, start from the toes, and then and he would go through, and when he realized it was too painful, then he would know this specific things that you're talking about, that there was an issue at that age, and he would say, oh, and then one time, like, he got me to cry. I was like crying. I was like, oh.
Yes, I get people laughing, crying, screaming. Yeah, because it's all. Remember, you're changing patterns. You're even changing people's identity, because people who are sick, that becomes their identity. So you're even changing their identity, and then you're getting rid of. And I work on 2 different root areas, fear and inferior, and there's branches associated with these roots. So I do all this stuff. I do it physically, and I do it, emotionally, and I tie it together, and I do it when I have something on the table, or I can do it online with somebody. I do it in groups or one-on-one. So I help people, and I bring in my book, and I help them change their words and their thoughts and their mindset and get rid of all the old to bring in the new. And it's all biblical, because I'm a Christian, and I believe, God gave me this gift, and so I need to put it back out there and help other people. And my goal is to restore hope to people, because it's a lost, world, and people are losing hope.
So please, first before, can you let people know where they can find you out right now, like your website, and where they could?
Yeah, of course. Okay, so my website is Learn, Learn, Extract, Xtract. Let me explain to you what Extract stands for. So when this gift was given to me in 2006, and I had a wellness center at the time, and I was working on a lady who had edema, and I understood the edema was from a blocked of lymphatic system. I started doing some work on her. I never did body work in my entire life. Never went to school, never even learned it from anybody. Never even seen a video on it. But I saw that she had a need. I understood the lymphatic system, because that was my research that I had done for my own health and well-being, to get rid of some of the yeast that I had. And I started doing some work on her. Within about maybe a half hour, she gets up off the table. The next day, she said, I don't know what you did, but whatever you did, the swelling's completely gone. I've had this for 14 years. She goes, and doctors couldn't help me. She goes, I have a twin sister. Can you do the same thing? I was like, sure, bring her in. I did the same thing on her sister. The swelling left. Now, they're excited about this. I have a wellness center. It's an all-inclusive wellness center. I did the foot detox, and I did the sauna and wraps and colon therapy and all these other things, fitness tables, all this other stuff, right? But because I'm getting people results so quickly before they leave, they see swelling leave, they're telling their friends. Well, not only are they losing swelling, but I get people losing inches within, inches around their waist, their thighs, their arms, back fat, you name it. And we're talking within the first session is started.
Wow.
That's amazing.
It's amazing. I've seen people who have sinus issues no longer have sinus issues. I've seen people who have migraine headaches no longer have migraine headaches. People who have like colitis or certain bowel issues, they're walking away without those. And this is happening after one session. I mean, it's a process, but it starts after one session, because what we're doing is we're retraining the lymphatic system. We're creating a new memory, and it's on the cellular memory. So I can work with somebody and then not see them for a couple of weeks. I'll pick up where I left off. So I'm creating a new memory. It goes to the weakest link. So it's called biofeedback. Biofeedback basically means whatever that person needs at that time it goes to. And that's what Extract does, because Extract, which is X is cancel, T is toxic, R is release, A is accelerated, C is cellular, and T is transformation, transforms your body and your soul, your mind, will, and emotions on a cellular level, so that we're creating a new memory, new patterns, new beliefs, and actually helps people come into their true identity of who they're called to be. And I see people look younger. Literally, they come up off the table, their entire look, they look younger. It looks like they've gained years back.
Wow.
So it's almost like putting them into a time machine. And I've had this happen to several people. This is not just a one-off thing.
So it's
I can tell you, we have a 90% success rate.
It helps change the DNA aging clock, right? It could kind of set it back a little bit.
Yes, by letting the whole flow of by opening up your meridians again, and by allowing your energy to flow.
How important is footwork to you guys? And because I've read from acupuncture and all that, but the feet, I've read that they say the soles of the feet, and that sounds to me a little biblical. The sole of the feet. And how healthy are your feet? I mean, should your feet be, or should you focus on your footwork?
Well, it's funny that you said it, because the very first thing that I do in an extract, which is the hands-on body work that I'm talking about for the lymphatic system, I open up the bladder meridian, and that's on the bottom of your feet, right in the middle. So I open that up because what we're doing is we're moving fluid and we're bringing everything into the bladder so the body can eliminate it. Traditional lymphatic work is very light touch and it's just like brushing. We're actually physically moving this fluid up into the bladder and the body just starts to pee it out. So really we got people going off the table right away and they're urinating nonstop because it's coming out. And I will tell you another thing. This is really cool. I will do one leg on somebody and I won't do the other, and I'll say, okay, lift up your leg. That leg that I just did is so much lighter and it looks different. The color and the circulation has just improved so much versus the other leg. And I show pictures on my website, and you wouldn't even believe it. And that's within minutes. I mean, some of these things that you'll see are within 10 to 15 minutes that people can start seeing the results. Wow. And it all works on the nervous system. We work with a lot of chiropractors, naturopaths. They bring this into their practice. I work with mothers and fathers that want to bring this into their homes. We help children who are spectrum children, helping them engage more. They like touch now. We have people whose speech is improving, these children. We're helping with their speech. And this is all happening after 1 or 2 sessions.
Wow.
So your technique, is it something that God gave you? You know, it's like a new technique. It's not like anything.
Oh, it helps unlock their hidden potential.
Do you ever, you know about the Hawaiian, this Hawaiian kind of rolling technique also? Kind of, it's familiar. Somehow the way you were doing it I was watching it reminded me a little bit of the Hawaiian technique, but it wasn't the same thing, but it was similar, you know.
Yeah, no, it's funny. Like I said, it was completely downloaded to me. It started out just on the legs, and all of a sudden it just evolved from there. So I did the full body, even kidney. And then I started bringing the emotional piece into it, and that was just kind of by accident, but not really, there's no accidents, right? It was a timing thing. Right. And so I think because I wasn't really understanding the whole emotional piece, I didn't get that piece until I was ready. And now that I'm ready for it, it's like to me, extract is the bridge that unifies the spirit, soul, and body and brings us back to where we were before, the fall of man. And that's why people are living healthier whole lives, because we're unifying the spirit, soul, and body. And I believe extract's one way to do it. It's not the only way, but it is one of the ways. And I've got 80 instructors around the nation that actually teach this through my academy. I have an online academy. We do an in-person class with my instructors. I have over 800 graduates nationwide. We're in 36 states and Canada, and we're a 7-year-old company. Our academy is accredited, so we offer CEs. So if somebody needs continuing education credits, they can get CEs from us. We have a board that works with us. It's a wellness certification board, and they get a title if they want a title as a natural health therapist. Natural health coach. And it's just, it's all kind of evolving, and it's becoming this really great opportunity to help people get on the other side on an emotional, physical, and spiritual level. And that's my goal. I want to get people to another level. I got to get them to the next level, to the other side. So wherever they start, if they're in the pit, I got to get them in the palace.
So they're going to you for both healing, and also they can learn to either do the healing or get certified, or do both?
Correct. And I've just introduced the emotional piece, so I'm actually teaching people how to do the emotional coaching as well. So not only do I teach them the physical part, now I'm teaching them how to do the actual emotional piece as well. So if somebody wants to do like an emotional class, they get the emotional release for themselves, and then they can teach, and then they can bring it to their clients as well. So it's another piece that I'm bringing.
Wow.
So it's, and then I tie my book in with it as well, because I really believe that book was downloaded by God, because I actually wrote that book and then I had to reread it. I don't remember half the stuff that I wrote.
No, I understand. So where in the body, let me ask you specifically, is where you were talking about your locations, starting from the feet to up to the top of the cranium, that basically give us the years of where we store our emotional memory. So where is the present position? The heart?
So it's left side. Starts from the toe to the ankle, to the mid calf to the knee, right underneath the knee where your kneecap is, and then from the kneecap to the mid thigh to the groin to the belly button up to the we call this a dumping station, where we dump everything from the top down, but we're right underneath your clavicle, and those are the areas that we focus on for the ages. And so I know if there's some blockages in those areas, I know that those are some areas that we need to focus on, those ages, and then also those emotions.
Wow.
And so each area that I work on focuses on an emotion as well.
Well, so you're trying to unlock the champion that's within us all.
Right. Right, and because we were created that way.
Right.
You know, it's just we would just get beaten down by the world and the world's ways and all the junk that's going on, and we believe it. And I don't believe it. I don't identify with it. I speak to myself on a daily basis. I say my youth is renewed. I mean, I don't receive anything that doesn't resonate. If it's not of God, it's not of me. And I literally live that way on a daily basis. I say declarations every single day over myself, and there's power in the tongue. And I believe that fully, so I'm very careful by what I say and what I receive. And I realize that people don't know how to receive. They don't know how to change the communication to receive because maybe they feel unworthy or they are fearful. And so I have to break that off first, so it has to be through intent. Once I get the intent, I ask, are you ready to release what you need to release? Are you ready to receive what you need to receive? If they say yes, then I've got the yes, and I've got the intent, and I can start to work on them physically or emotionally or both. And it goes to whatever level they're interested in. So let's say I get a client on the table and I ask them, do you want to go physical or emotional? Because everything ties together, right? And if they say just physical, it'll just go on a physical level because that's their intent. But if it wants to go on an emotional level, I'll start pulling emotion out. And then the physical just starts to release from there.
Right. Wow, that's very exciting. That you're actually. This is something that everybody would say like 20 years ago. Oh, you're crazy. But actually, there are books on emotional release. There are books. Yeah. This is like already a study. It's not kooky. It's not that. It's not like so strange. But I mean, now 30 years ago there was no internet. Now now you can look it up, and there's a lot of information that's condensed and collated, and it's really a thing. And it's great that you were able to rise above the mutter of the doctors, of the traditional, the rhetoric. Right. Because I'm always dealing with that. I work with herbs. I dabbled in a lot of stuff, but
doctors are in the business of keeping you sick. Otherwise, they wouldn't have a job.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. They're practicing.
They'll tell
you. I think they're great. Here's what I tell people: they're great for emergency, response emergency. They're great for that.
Right.
But when it comes to sickness and disease, they're practicing, and they'll be the first to tell you that they're practicing. And if they can't match it to a drug, then they'll come up with something, and they'll say, "Oh, well, let's create this drug for this." Because a lot of people are getting this now. Fibromyalgia. I mean, are you kidding me? We know that's all emotional woundedness. It's all emotional trauma. Well, you start working on the emotions, the fibromyalgia leaves. Again, that's the communication that the body's manifesting. So I don't believe that there is anything that we can't take care of in reverse. I just don't. Because I know where everything stems from. I know it stems from the spirit and the soul, and the body's just manifesting. The body has to be the last piece, and instead it's the first piece. And that's what my book's about, and that's what Extract's about. Like I said, now we're starting to bring in the emotional with the physical piece of it, with doing the hands-on. So now I can teach people how to do both at the same time. So as they're working on a client doing Extract, I can help them release that emotion at the same time and teach their clients how to do it as well. So
wow, it's like it's amazing. Yeah. It's like you have a fully developed already language. It's like a study. Like I'm into the herbs, right? So I would think that with edema, you would use maybe cleavers. And for the bacteria, there's the stomach issues. You can start with fenugreek, and there's something else called goat's rue that actually metformin the age. They've actually designed like some age defying drug, called metformin, but it's based off of the French lily, and that in itself. They used to give it to women for lactating, and that also helps. It's similar to the fenugreek, which works on your stomach bacteria. It's antibacterial, it's antifungal, all kinds of stuff, but specifically targets that weirdness in your stomach, that sometimes maybe you maybe want to incorporate that because, if you're taking all the probiotics, maybe you want to try an herb to create to do a different kind of a job. Everything's like notes, everything's slightly different, and it's great to do so many different things.
Exactly. It's not one size fits all. And I will tell you another thing. Most of my people have gut issues. It's all emotional.
Huh. But even if it starts with like a general hormonal, okay, so I know that there's genetic imprinting also, because my husband's mother also had a facial scarring, so he took the Accutane when he was younger, and then, and that you're saying is a direct it will increase your gut bacteria. It's like your butt gets.
Oh man! Yucko!
Wow! Yeah. But maybe that too, 'cause
it's all butt bacteria in the end. That's what it
really is when it comes down to it, isn't it? No, it's I found that it's formula. It's a formula, and it's custom to each person, but it is a formula. And that's why I can teach what I do, because I give a formula and I disassociate with the old and I bring in the new and I change the patterns and the mindset, and then I change communication, and I know how to verbally talk about it, and I bring scripture into it as well. And so it's this formula that I've worked on, and as I'm ordained actually as well, so I do a lot of deliverance in my ministry as well. So it ties in all this together.
It's very important. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just wanted to say that that's a very beautiful thing that you're ordained, because if you're doing body work and energy work with people, you want to be one with everything and really be protected, because that, there's anything, you don't want to pick up anything.
That's the best protection right there.
It's the best protection.
She has.
That's right. That's right.
God's protection.
Exactly. I think I started giving you guys my website. I stopped.
That's right. Give us your website. Thank you so much, Nina, for being on the show. It was great having you on. We want to have you on as many times as you want to come back on and talk about any of the newest ventures that you guys are going through with your company over there. But let our audience know where they could find you and your service and your work.
Okay, so my website is LearnXTRACT.com. My email is xtractyu@gmail.com, or you can reach me at 760-409-4031, and you can talk to me directly if you have any questions or if you're interested in learning more about what it is that we offer.
That's awesome.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll talk to you very soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for all the
Nice
information. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Awesome.
That was nutritional expert Nina Venturella. Be sure to check out her book, Unveiled Truth. It's good stuff. The power of positivity and knowing what to put in your gut, because you got to trust your gut at the end of the day. So that's it, everybody. Bruce Montalvo out.
Montalvo Broadcasting Network.